Let's call to order the meeting of the Board of Park Commissioners on Wednesday, January 9th, 2019. Pursuant to the open meeting law, any person may make an audio or video recording of this public meeting or may transmit the meeting through any medium. Attendees are therefore advised that such recordings or transmissions are being made whether perceived or unperceived by those present and are deemed acknowledged and permissible. Roll call of commissioners.
Bob Tavares.
Victor Farias.
Joe Schulenberg.
Roger Yitkin.
Ellen Rego.
Jeffrey Sylvia. Entertain a motion to accept the minutes of the previous meeting,
Date. The date, please.
Accept the minutes.
December the 5th.
Make a motion to accept the minutes of the previous meeting.
Second.
September
Motion.
5th. December 5th, I'm sorry.
You have to read the old meeting.
I did.
Yeah.
Oh, you did already? Oh, boy, he's quick.
Nancy, Sweet.
Entertain a motion, motion's been made and seconded to accept the minutes of the meeting. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So voted. Citizen input. No? Citizen-
Nobody?
Yeah. Street Tree Planting Committee. Anybody here from that?
Yeah. Don't even have a commission.
Nope. New business, election of officers, chairman, vice chairman, and secretary. Entertain a motion for the position of secretary.
I make a motion to nominate Marcy.
I'll second that.
Motion made, second. You accept that?
I accept it, thank you.
Motion made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Need a motion and second to vote for into the position and a motion
Yeah,
and
that's what,
second to
yeah.
nominate.
Secretary, they said.
Okay, right, but they nominated, now they need a motion and second to vote you in.
I'll make a
That's
motion.
what we're doing.
Second. I made a motion.
Motion made, is there a second?
Second.
Motion made and seconded to elect Commissioner and Secretary.
Thank you.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So voted. Position of Vice Chairman. Entertain a motion to nominate a Vice Chairman.
I'll make
I'll
a
make a
motion to, I'll make a motion to Vice Chairman Joe Schulenberg.
Motion been made, is there a
Second.
second?
Second.
Second. Motion to elect Commissioner Schulenberg Vice Chairman.
I accept.
I make the
Sorry.
motion. I make the motion.
Motion made, is there a second to elect Commissioner Schulenberg Vice
I'll
Chairman?
second that.
Motion's been made, seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Congratulations.
Thanks.
Position of Chairman. Is there a motion to elect the Chairman?
Make a motion for Jeff.
Second.
Motion been made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
I accept. Motion to elect.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So voted.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Designation of Park Board member to serve on the Urban Tree Commission. Does anyone want to volunteer for that
I'll go.
position?
Okay.
Commissioner Schulenberg serve on the Urban Tree Commission as representative of the Park Board. Is there a motion to that effect?
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So voted.
Congratulations, Joe.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Don't be tripping any trees in my backyard.
Transfer of funds for cemetery records digitalization surveying.
Commissioners, good evening.
Good evening.
Good
Thank you,
job.
Mr. Perry.
Thank you for having us. We come before you today to discuss trying to finalize the digitization of the records for Oak Grove Cemetery. It's an online process and an extensive process that Ms. Lewis is here to help with the technical aspect of. and lay that out for you if you have any questions on that. But basically, in a nutshell, it's to simplify and afford the residents and their family members and anybody who might be interred and their relatives at Oak Grove a chance to be able to go online, research where their loved ones may be buried, identify the site, and it's rather extensive. I mean, it goes right from the deed that is attached to the lot itself to any and all information as far as even obituaries that might be associated with that individual. And then you will be able to locate your loved one at that site through the website, and that's where the mapping comes in. We're just about complete with that. There are 5 sections that need to be fully completed, and that's why we come before you today to try to discuss where that funding will come from. And whatever the park board's purview is, as far as where we take those funds from, is the direction we're looking for from the park board. So if you have any questions, we're here to answer them.
How long is the process gonna take if it's approved and,
To finalize it,
I know it's
we,
a lot of
we,
records?
we have quotes in your packet from SciTech Engineering to map out the layout. There are 5 sections as it states there. I mean, they're all pretty much the same in size and scale. As far as how long it'll take to do each one, I'd say maybe a couple of weeks per. So we're looking about 2 months before SciTech is done with its work, and then that will translate over to Mrs. Lewis's area, where she will work with the software company to make sure that's integrated into the program.
And Chris, how much is it gonna cost?
The cost starts at $7,500 per plot, so we multiply that by 5.
$37,500.
It's okay,
Oh, I'm sorry. I
37,500
apologize.
Would be the total. Now, this is a pretty extensive project that we've already been working on. My office continues to work on this project.
I can see, it's a group effort,
It
that's
is a
nice.
group effort,
Absolutely.
Absolutely. On a daily basis, so every time we have a new interment, we actually have to scan all of the paper records that we have and send it off to Legacy Mark, so that way they can continue to update those records. So once we finish this process and we actually have the product working for us, it's gonna make a big difference for the staff in the office as well as the men working out in the field as far as helping people find graves, and then just have a better management system of what graves are available, even those that are sold, how many spaces are available to the family to inter in as well.
So they'll be able to look it up online?
Correct. There'll be a customer-facing portal that families will be able to access, most likely a link on the city website. But then there's also a back-end service for the cemetery staff as well as the city clerk's office to process deeds and make sure all our records are there. Currently, if you've been to our office, I'm sure you remember the index cards
Right.
that are kind of like in a card catalog in our office.
Oh,
So
that's nice.
we'll no longer have to search through the tens of thousands of cards that are there to find a person's loved one.
So those are all scanned in, is that?
Those have been scanned, that process is complete, and this would be the final piece to put this into place.
So the total amount you said was?
Total amount for this piece that we're before you for today?
Right.
$37,500. But there's already been an extensive expenditure on this already. I believe that number's in your, yeah.
Just to clarify,
Yeah,
I provided the board
Just yet.
with the initial package that was a $76,000 project that
Correct.
started in 2015. And I provided the board with that information from that meeting in May of 2015, so that you could be familiar with the project. What this is doing is there are 5 lots that needed to be additionally surveyed. So that's this additional $35,000, correct me if I'm wrong?
That's correct,
So-
37.5.
37, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
So in addition, to answer your question, Marcy, the total project when done will be roughly $100,000. But it'll digitize the entire cemetery. But the
These-
original project, I think only Joe and Jeff were on the board the first time
So-
when doing this.
So where does the money go? From perpetual care? Is that?
Well, which funds would we spend to complete the project? Is that
Yes.
your question,
Yes.
Commissioner? Well, you have 2 options. The first option would be obviously sale of lots. Okay, so that's what we've accumulated in sale of lots over the years. And at this point, that's where all the funds have come from for the beginning of the project. You also have perpetual care, and I know that is a sensitive topic and something that hasn't fully been vetted, but that's up to the board to decide if that's something they'd want to do or look at. But sale of lots and perpetual care both have abundance of funds in there that would be able to cover this and not deplete it to a point where we'd be concerned.
And so the money would be transferred where?
We would pay
Into
for.
the cemetery?
The cemetery would pay for the SciTech work for the survey, and whatever remainder of funds would need to be taken care of through IT for Miss Lewis.
Right, but I mean, if it's transferred from perpetual care or sale of lots, it's going to the cemetery?
Correct.
So that way there we can get an update and follow?
Oh, absolutely. Either way, you would be afforded an update at any stage of the process, if the board so chooses.
Is there enough money in the sale of lots to not touch perpetual care?
There is.
You have a document. I provided from this group.
Mhm.
If you flip to the back of that, you'll have the whole printout from the treasurer's office that tells you. It's in your original packet. You'll have it.
So
It'd be,
you'll see something along this lines, Commissioner. It'll look
This
like,
is
it's a singular one, but.
Yeah, that's small.
This is it, right here. It looks like this.
Oh,
Okay.
yeah, I saw that.
So if you look at that, just to simplify it for you, Commissioner, 1, 2, 3, 4, the fifth line down would be sale of lots. That's that particular account. You'll see there
Just a stick.
the overall amount at the end, at the $308,725.14. Okay, and then the line directly below that is the overall perpetual care account. Okay, so those are the total funds that we have in perpetual care at this point right now.
The one right underneath it?
Yes, sir.
Although we do have enough in these,
Sale of lots to cover
lots,
it.
right?
Correct.
Yeah,
I vote for you.
yeah, I think so too.
one question I have is, as far as perpetual care. There's certain restrictions you can only use perpetual care for.
Correct.
Would this come under?
This would
That-
fall under it. Yes,
Yeah, like-
this would fall under it, yes.
So it's not gonna, either way.
No, either way, it's the board's purview to which direction you want to go in. As I said, both accounts have sufficient funds in them to cover the cost of what we need to finish the project. It's just what the board's purview would like. you
What
know,
is the
preference.
cost? I may know this, I may have it somewhere, but you can maybe refresh my memory. What is the cost for a lot and the whole cost to have someone?
From start to finish?
Yeah,
There are several different lots. You have single lots, double lots, you have four grave lots, we have
Cremation lots.
cremation lots as well, correct?
So a single grave lot, the lot
On
itself
average.
is $1,500. There's a fee for a liner if an individual chooses to purchase one from the cemetery, it's $600. There's a deed fee that we pay to the city clerk's office to process the deed of $25. And then there's, depending on the grave, there's an opening fee of $750 for a traditional burial and $350 for a cremation. And then we also charge an overtime fee if there's a burial on Saturday of $375.
And so-
3,500?
Depends, it depends.
Depends
whether
on what
it's
it's
a
like.
A single
lot or
grave
double lot or a
is all
small grave lot.
inclusive. It
Yeah, we're talking
covers-
about a single lot.
so if we went from sale of lots, and we obviously sell more lots, and more people are gonna be put into the system, we're gonna, the fees we charge now would cover that cost,
Correct.
including the
Yeah.
new
Yes,
software.
absolutely,
The original project
absolutely.
came from sale of lots.
Did it?
Yeah, well,
That
I
was my
think
point.
if, Commissioner,
Yeah, you're
if you
right.
will, I think your question is, with this new software, is it gonna add a cost
Yes,
to
and I don't
bury,
wanna,
to
I don't
bury
wanna
someone?
add, I don't wanna.
Yes, no,
I'd have trouble sitting here to vote
no,
to up the fees we already have to cover.
correct. No, in
that.
actuality, Counselor, this will actually make it easier for us. It cuts down on the manpower to put the cards together, to catalog those. So it's a much easier process once it's complete, and it's a much more effective and accurate system than we have at this point.
What kind of backup does the system have, or will have?
It'll be put on a backup schedule, and IT will be maintaining the actual database and making sure it gets patches and it goes on a backup schedule, which will be daily, and then it'll be an incremental and a full backup.
And with this company, are we gonna have any, for lack of a better word, guarantee if something happens, the system goes down, or,
The system will be housed here
yeah?
at City Hall, so we will be responsible for this, and we do have support with them, that we will be paying an annual small fee that we'll probably be incurring, IT will probably be incurring that small fee, just to support costs, but we will maintain the system here and do the backup, so it'll be on us, just like it is for all the other systems that we maintain. And I just want to preference that this isn't just Oak Grove Cemetery that's imploded, it's also North Burial, and any other cemetery going forward that we may have to incorporate once Oak Grove is full. So this is actually 2 cemeteries that have been incorporated, and then any others going forward.
All the work at North has been completed, and again, this is just the final piece at Oak Grove to finish up, so. And one piece about the perpetual care I just wanted to touch on real quick. There is a misconception. Years ago, when perpetual care was first established, and not just in this city, but all over, families would pay a monthly fee to make sure that their families' loved ones' graves were maintained. At this point, when we sell a lot, so whatever the cost of that lot is, a $1,500 single grave lot, 50-50 is the split, okay? So 50% goes to cover the lot, and 50% goes to perpetual care. Okay, so it's 50-50 on every sale of a lot that we get.
Does anyone have any questions? Commissioner or Barry?
This $7,500, that's for the survey that's of the,
It's a survey of each particular lot. So you'll see there's 5 quotes in there broke down individually for each particular lot. And each one will be the same cost because, as I said, they're almost mirror images of each other.
so this won't come out of any other, like, sales if I wanna buy a plot, you're not gonna, that won't interfere with me, right?
No, as far as, I'm sorry.
Say if so it's $1,300 or $1,500, that's
Mhm.
just for the plot.
Yeah, there'd be no
itself.
Yes.
additional costs
And
after.
No
this.
additional
I think
costs.
you're worried about.
Right, so I don't have to worry about it.
Right, well, and Ms. Luce brings up a good point. So, as you all know, Oak Grove is filling up. And we've looked at a couple of different avenues, which we'll be exploring shortly coming up. So there are 2 areas in the cemetery that we can expand to, and we have to see which of those 2 areas are more viable and where we can maximize our space to provide ourselves with more
How much do we
burial.
have right now?
I'm
We
sorry?
have a lot of plots left right now?
We're dwindling down. There aren't a lot left. We do have enough. I don't see any problem for the foreseeable, let's say, 5 years going forward. So we have some time. It's not that you want to wait until it's, the 11th hour, but we do have some time, and we are in the process of working on that. As you know, there's been some work at Oak Grove Cemetery recently through the Water Department and their drainage project. And one of the areas that we may be able to expand to is right adjacent to that, on the New Boston Road side of the cemetery,
Yep.
along that fence line. So with that work already being completed, we are hoping that we can piggyback on that and just start where they left off and hopefully cultivate that area to supply ourselves with some more plots going forward.
Additionally, I think there's a few low resistance areas that we can expand to that we just started exploring actually this week, and we hope to have a presentation for your consideration, hopefully by the next board meeting.
Right, so Chris and I have sat down and discussed that. So the area I speak of is the larger area, where we could cultivate that and set ourselves for the future, so we don't have to worry. But Chris has done a good job in identifying some of those other areas that we could, fit. We could do 20 here, 15 there, areas of the cemetery that haven't been maximized that we'd be able to do that. So we're in the process of looking at that as well.
What about that section down by, we get all the woods and
Yes.
on Locust Street side?
So, yeah,
Is that
come
a
in
good-
from Oak Grove. Well, what happens there, Commissioner, is where the fence line is on the Oak Grove sidewalk. You come back, I'd say, about 50 yards, and you have some wooded area there that we could absolutely cut down and put some plots there. But you end up inevitably running into ledge, okay? As many areas in the city we do. So we'd have to look at financially how much that would cost us to cultivate that area and see where that puts us. So we'll put together a presentation, a proposal showing both areas, the cost and benefits of it, and we'll present that to the board at the proper time so that you can vet it and we can discuss it.
One quick question. So, Chris, what do you think about this system? Because you're gonna work with it.
Right.
You know,
I think
I
this
know
is-
what people do, you know, sometimes we work with things and some people think that they know what we want, no offense, but
Mhm.
what's
I
your
think this is a
opinion?
system that's desperately needed, it should have been done a long time ago. We're really working with the same system that's been in place since Oak Grove opened back in, the 1850s. So
Yeah.
we really need to modernize and be able to help people. There's actually some volunteers that we work with on a regular basis that come to the cemetery because families from areas that don't live around Fall River will actually put requests into Find a Graves website. And so volunteers from Fall River are going to the cemetery
That is
and
huge.
working with us to take
It is
photos
huge.
and send it out, where this will be, seamless for them. If they know that they're in Oak Grove Cemetery, they type in the last name, and it'll actually highlight it on the map for them.
And as you know, Oak Grove is a historic cemetery, it's a historic site, so there's a lot of interest in who's there, who's interred there, the history of the cemetery itself as well.
Far beyond Lizzie Borden.
Right, and they'll be able to access that through this website as well and obtain information that they probably would have never gotten to because the digging and time it would have taken to find that information otherwise without the system in place would have probably made it almost impossible for them. And that's whether they're at a desktop in California or here in the city.
I agree with Chris that, it is a long time coming for this. One slight concern I have is the computer company itself.
Mhm.
Have we really like checked them out? 'Cause I know I don't wanna spend money that, for a computer system that
Yeah.
may fail
Well-
or not have enough memory or whatever. I'm not a computer guy, so I'm just trying to.
I'll say this, and then I'll let Ms. Lewis speak to that, because it's her expertise, but I will say that any project of this size, where you're spending this money, and not just this ask tonight, not just the 37.5 that we asked tonight, but it all has to be bid out, and you have companies that put proposals together and bids for us, and then those are vetted through the proper channels and the proper administration, and Ms. Lewis, who runs her department, a very tight ship, so I'm sure she's done her homework, but I'll let her speak to that. But the process, procuring the funds to be able to start this project in the beginning had to take place. So there has been some vetting of the companies themselves already, and with that, I'll let Ms. Lewis speak more to that.
Thanks, Chris.
That's okay.
Yeah, we, from an IT perspective, we evaluated several companies, I think there was 5 total, and Legacy Mock was the one that came top rated. They actually were the one that met all the criteria that we were looking for, so we did do our homework. It took several months, it wasn't just, 1 week of evaluations, they had to meet several. We actually met with them online several times, and they answered a lot of our questions. So I felt that for what we were looking for, from a manual system to an automated, that they met all the needs of what we were looking to do here. Being from 2 cemeteries, I believe Oak Grove has over 80,000 guests, if you will, or residents, and just that alone was at large, and I'm not sure enough burial offhand, I haven't looked at my numbers recently on that, but that was quite a few. It does reporting. Not only does it work with IT and the cemetery folks, like I said, the city clerk's office, with deeds, as well as the treasurer's office has been involved with this to do reporting. It's all financial reporting as well, that this software allows us to do at, a click of a button, versus how they were doing it before, manual and trying to come up with numbers and maybe entering a spreadsheet and so forth, or monthly accounts. Those people have access, and anybody can run those reports at any time.
So the chair could run a report too?
If the chair had access, sure.
Just curious.
It does quite a bit, and just the fact that the information's there at a click of a button. But I did evaluate them, and they were under a lot of scrutiny when I was evaluating them. And it's a large project. It's a very old cemetery, and just the fact that we have records now locked up, and we have copies in the cemetery, but the records, a lot of old records that are irreplaceable are now locked up and categorized, and cataloged at the city clerk's office now, so they're in a vault, versus before they were just at the cemetery office, which I wasn't too comfortable with, as well as I'm sure that they weren't as well.
Commissioner?
Yeah. So correct me if I'm wrong. I would be able to go to the cemetery and go to that little kiosk where your office is, and you'll be able to find the paper that I'm looking for.
You can
Actually,
actually
have
You
that
don't even
for
have to go to the cemetery
So
commission.
we're
no?
closed.
Or you can do it online, that's right.
Online,
Do it
yeah.
online,
This is
the
all
cemetery's
web-based.
closed. You can do that online.
That suits.
Yeah,
What an idea.
absolutely.
It's
And
almost like,
just,
This is
excuse me, it's almost like the veterans,
Yeah, absolutely.
cemetery up in
Sure.
Bourne, they have the same
Yeah.
sure.
Patty just
DC too now.
pushing,
And just a couple of points, so you understand the scale of this, and in my discussions with Ms. Lewis, Legacy Mark has done this all over the country. And they fully admit, this is one of the biggest cemeteries they've ever done. Further that, Oak Grove is laid out in the Olmsted design, okay? So you see, as you said, Commissioner, the Veterans Cemetery, Arlington, for instance, okay? It's row after row, straight paths, perpendicular to one another, okay? Oak Grove is not laid out in that sense, okay? So it's windy, it's beautiful, all right? But it does make it difficult to locate what you're looking for, okay? So again, this started in 2015, it's taken some time. It hasn't been without difficulties, but we're at that home stretch now,
I
if
thought,
you will say.
this sounds familiar. Was this, Nancy, was this something that you were doing too?
When I
or something?
first went there, Dawn and I had worked on, and we saw the
Something was-
digital piece
now
of the
I remember-
company
now I
coming in
remember
and making the
little bits and
copies. Now
pieces.
it's a matter of them,
Yeah.
and I think Dawn secured this company for the software. Then it was a matter of them plotting every
Right.
individual lot.
So-
I
So
think,
it's
you
been
know,
going
Dawn
for-
Right, it's been going for a while,
worked
and
on
that's,
this for quite some time.
to my point, that there's been a lot of people who've done a lot of work to get this project to become a reality, and we're on the home stretch now. We can see the finish line, and we'd like to get it done. So not only that we can secure the cemetery's history, as Ms. Lewis pointed out, but make it easier for those loved ones who want to see their families and be able to find them with ease. Correct.
Commissioner Goff?
Bottom line, when all said and done, total cost for everything.
104,000, I'd say, about that, and then you'll have, I believe, if you look in your packet, there's a breakdown of the
Yeah.
yearly upkeep
It's just so
with the
small, I can't
software
see it.
company. It's about $1,000
Yeah,
a
get
year,
some glasses.
which, I mean, when you take into account the work that has to be done to put the cards together, catalog them, and God forbid, you know, look, we saw a tragic fire in the city here this week, and my heart goes out and my prayers go out to all of those families, but if we had a fire at the Oak Grove office before we did this, we have no records. All that history is gone. With this, that ensures that history stays and is secure forever. And I think it might have been the chair's question, but knowing Ms. Lewis, her security for her systems and her programs is paramount to her. So it will be protected, it will be taken care of and upkept. I have no doubt about that.
That's $1,000 a year.
Yeah, it's close to that, Council. It's in your
It
packet. I
says
can-
1,020.
Yeah, 1,020. I mean,
That's what
obviously,
happens and stuff.
yeah,
It's
obviously,
not like-
we can't see the future. You don't have a crystal ball. But costs do tend to rise, but I don't see that rising significant. So it comes from 1,000 to 1,100, maybe in 10 years from now, who knows? But maybe Commissioner Schulenberg, if you get a good winner on those tickets, you can help us out.
How long is it gonna take to finish this project?
Again, it'll probably take a couple of months for us to at least do the site work and get the survey done, and then from there, again, I will
It depends,
digress
it depends
to.
on, we have some cleanup to do, but I need the full system built before we do that. In order to do that, I need the maps.
Yeah.
And that's the holdup, and then we'll do some cleanup. I mean, we've put a lot of effort into it, it has been a group effort, and we are on the final home stretch. And there'll be some cleanup, but then you don't have one person yet you're relying on to maintain the system. It's maintained and everybody can get access to it, which is key. I did include in your packets, I put a sneak preview, because I'm not ready to demo anything, but you'll see there's several pages. It says sneak preview of map set, what we currently have done so far. But you don't see, it's nothing applicable because it's not automated, but it's the last couple of sheets of your packet. And we went from card files to that, that's where we're at, or paper maps to that.
Yeah.
And that's automated and anybody can click on any of them or print out sections of that map at any given time down the road.
And that's the old maps?
These are the old maps
Yeah.
that we know.
Yeah, I mean, I think we've all seen them when you go to Oak Grove, we lay them out on the table, and not ideal. And we can look back and say we shoulda, coulda, woulda, hindsight's 20/20, we all know that. But that's the way it was done. But
Yeah.
that's not the way we wanna do it going forward, and that's why this work has been put in.
And you're absolutely right, if there was ever a tragedy, that's a fire, we have no record of it.
That's it.
Well, we have them now, they're digitized, we have all the card files are digitized now, and then, like I said, a lot of the sign-in books that they had are at the city clerks in the vault, so that's what they need to do.
Since 2015, Dawn had, we have the company.
Yeah.
It was digitized since 2015.
That was
That was the
15?
first thing
Yeah.
anybody did. because
And
there was
going
no
forward, we've
backup.
been digitizing.
Great idea.
Commissioner York, any more questions?
I'm set. Good, thank you.
Commissioner Fabia?
I'm gonna put the names up so you can be a lot easier to see, like the roads, the names of the streets.
Oh, yeah, the road names of the streets.
That's
and the
another,
paths will
that's
be on there.
another project that, Chris and I will be working on going forward. As you see in the cemetery, we do have some new signs that list the streets. That project hasn't been completed, which is another request, actually. I mean, if the board wants to start to think about that now.
Yeah, they'll be on there.
If the board wants to start to think about that now, we do have some streets in the cemetery that need new names, that need names, period. So obviously, we'll come to you with that, with suggestions, but if the board has any preference, we'd be open to those suggestions. I think it'd be good if we think in the lines of a theme, okay? So you wanna do, Robin Lane, or Bluebird Lane, or, Oak, or Elm, okay? So we
We don't have
have
to do
some of
that
those
now.
already. There are now, so you might have Elm
Almost
Lane.
all
No,
of
I mean,
the-
we don't need to do that tonight.
No,
All
that
right.
isn't, I'm just throwing that out there, something for the board to think about it. No, absolutely not,
But almost
absolutely not.
every plant you can think of has already been used.
Magnolia.
Yeah, Magnolia, right.
Commissioner Fabia?
Also,
I'm sorry,
one more question.
Commissioner Flowers.
When Victor and I do the flags for Veterans Day,
Had a minute.
is there any way in this computer system that it would locate for us so we can just go online day before and mark out all the
See if they're
veterans that
veterans.
need the flag, yeah?
Let me check into that and I'll get that back to you.
Good idea.
Because we pay,
So-
we really do.
There might be a way we can flag, I think we have user-defined fields, and that might be one of them, but I will double check, there might be just a checkbox in general, that we can flag veterans.
That would be nice.
So to Ms. Lewis's point, when she says use a defined fields, just to simplify it for you a little bit, so you put in the checklist and you say all veterans.
Yeah.
Okay, and you check that box, and then you do your search, so it's a filter. And that will identify all the veterans in the cemetery. Now, Ms. Lewis will look into that to see if it's possible, but if it is, and then you can print that map out
Yeah,
off
that
the
would
site,
save a tremendous
and then
amount
you
of
know where
labor.
you're going. Right, exactly. And, that'll help you if you can get extra volunteers. I know gentlemen such as yourself who've done it for years ago, and it makes it easy because you know where you've been before. But you could take anybody off the street with something like that and say, okay, here you go.
That's right.
Help us out. Here's 100 flags. Get to it.
Any questions?
Okay, I'll make a motion.
I'll
You're ready.
second.
But wait a minute, though. Make a motion for the amount of, what is it, 37?
1,500.
500. It's gonna go over to cemetery out of
Mhm.
the sale of lots, if that's
Yep.
okay. This is my motion, out of the sale of lots. So we'll see it go 37,500 to the cemetery.
Correct.
Correct? And if we can get updates, quarterly updates, or
Sure.
You wanna track it.
we want to be able to,
They
Well,
can probably give you copies of the bill schedule.
I can-
when they pay.
That's
can do
just exactly
we
what
can
we
do
want.
that, yep.
Thank you.
So when Ms. Smith puts her agenda together for you guys each month, once it's approved and we move forward, we will keep an update in there. Much like you put the Fall River Street Tree Planting Group on your agenda each and every week, and just in case somebody wants to come forward and ask for a tree to be planted or whatnot, we can add that, and I can forward that to Ms. Smith each month.
okay, we'll be working on the agenda, but, okay, that's fine.
Alright, so your motion is for the $37,500.
Right, with
Approve
it,
it.
out of
Just
sale
do-
lots.
Yeah, on a sale of lots,
with this-
with the approval of getting updates.
And being transferred to cemetery
Yeah.
with updates.
I second that motion.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So voted.
Good job.
Thank
It's
you,
nice.
Commissioners.
Thank you for all the work you put in.
Yeah, thank you.
Perry, this and this board.
Good job, Chris.
Thank you.
Good job.
Next item on the agenda,
Yes.
request from Richard Aguirre regarding donation of parchment. You want here?
Basically, he wants the park bench.
Says I would like to donate a park bench to
You know, where does
Sergeant
he want to put
Gilbert Cavallo in his memory.
What kind of bench, what block?
Yeah, Oak Park.
I believe he wants to put it in bicentennial. He spoke with Mr. Aldridge.
Bruce?
Yes, but I told him he would have to request it from the board, and once the board approved it, I would work with him on how we had to secure it. I guess Mr. Aldridge said there was one vacant pad, and that it could go there. So he submitted this, signage. I'm not sure how big the signage is on the benches that.
It's about,
It's usually a
Yeah,
bench
that's-
slack.
yeah.
So if he can fit all this information, I needed the board to approve the verbiage. So if he can fit all of this information on the bench slat, that's fine, unless the board wants to allow him a different, sign. But I would think that the board has had all the signs about the same
What kind
size,
of a
so.
bench is this going on?
Same kind of bench that we've always put in.
yeah.
We're not changing,
Right.
I don't know if this guy
this
knows.
board has made a rule that everybody gets the same bench. So there's no, $3,000 bench here and
That's right.
$500 bench here. We've approved one bench in the past. We've made that rule, and that's a rule that this board will stick by. So is there a motion to approve the sign?
There's only one quick question, Jim.
Yep.
There's only one pad?
From what he spoke to me,
Yeah,
Bruce
there's
Aldridge
only
had one pad available down there. 'Cause
For the bench.
veterans have installed a number of pads, and he said there was one available. This gentleman, I believe, wants to put the bench there. If that's not the situation, I will bring the issue back to the board for the
Okay.
location.
Motion to approve.
Oh, I have a
You got a
question,
question?
Question?
if I may. The pad, is that by the Imaging? Where the
No,
rest of
it's,
them are?
it's somewhere in that area.
Yeah, he said the benches all around.
That's where, okay.
There's only one pad, so.
Motion to approve.
Motion been made to
Second.
approve the sign, second,
Second.
So
Any
the
further-
sign size is gonna be the same as all the others.
decided
Yeah.
as all of the others, yes.
Should be able to put it in there.
And if it doesn't go in the pad area, then it needs to just come back for us.
Right, Nancy will come back.
Yes.
It's,
If it's,
it's a long pad.
any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So voted. Next item on the agenda, request from James Medeiros to appeal board's decision regarding chess tables installation at Maplewood Park. Please, state your name and address for the record.
James Darris, 103 Chicago Street.
Thank you.
How are you?
Not bad, how you doing?
I'm here, I've been better, but I've been worse.
I know that
I'm
feeling.
here for reconsideration on a chess table for Maplewood Park. If it could go somewhere else in the park.
Um, Back in our meeting on November 7th, Mr. Medeiros was here before us, and we denied the installation of a chess table at Maplewood Park. And according to his email here, he's requesting that we reconsider.
I have absolutely no problem with chess tables except for at Bicentennial Park. My problem is you're making money on the park board. And I don't think that's right.
I haven't done anything.
Well, you plan on expanding your business to make money, is what you told us. By putting it in the parks.
Eventually, yeah, I would have to. Otherwise, I can't sustain it.
I don't like that.
So if I get a company who wants to pay me to give our parks chess tables, it's unacceptable? Well, I mean, I don't know, I thought it was completely legal.
That's not the issue for the board.
Right.
The board issue was, Mr. Maderis, that you met with Nancy. We had a spot that we wanted you to put it in, and you didn't put it in there, okay? You didn't put it where it was gonna go. You came back to the board, and then we're gonna rehash it around and around and around, okay? The board at this point made a decision on November 7th, and stop me if I'm wrong, that they weren't gonna entertain it at this time.
As a matter of fact, I would like for you to take that one out of the Bicentennial Park that you put in the wrong place. After Nancy showed you where to put it. I personally would like that taken out of there.
And I did state that I would take it out of there.
I appreciate it.
But I also stated that it must have been a misunderstanding, that I would not have asked. If I were just gonna put a 4,000-pound fixture in a pot anywhere I wanted, I wouldn't ask permission. And prior to going there again, they agreed that I could put it down there. You had a problem with it, but I did say to you personally, here, we can go back to that I had no problem putting the table in North Park.
And I know that.
However,
I know that.
I thought,
What frustrated me, sir, is when Nancy met you down there, showed you where to put it, and you still put it in where you wanted to put it.
I heard Nancy say, and I'll stand by this, that she recommended it go in the shade, but it could be on anywhere that grass patch was. If there was a misunderstanding, fine, but like I said, I wouldn't just install a 4,000-pound fixture, you know,
And I'll tell you
without permission.
I'll tell you my other issue. 4,000-pound fixture. Now suppose, just say, for instance, a ball went rolling under that table and some kid ran under there to pick it up, jumped up, banged its head, split its head open. We are liable.
Right.
So,
But logically, that would be for any fixture or anything in a park.
true. This is true, but, I don't know. And we have the same issue with Columbus Park. The chess table's in the wrong place.
No. Let me
That's-
make a correction here. The chess table at Columbus Park is not in the wrong place. And no one ever said it was in the wrong place. What was said was, and I had nothing to do with where the chess table went at the time. I don't even think that I was dealing with you when it was the Columbus Park table. But the point of it is all we said about the Columbus Park table was, at one point, the Columbus Park, Friends of Columbus Park wanted to put a statue there, but we said, you know, that was in phase 4 or 5 or whatever of a CPC project, and it never came to fruition. And we can't hold the spot because something might happen. So when Mr. Maderis put his table there, there's no concern. As for the table at Bicentennial Park, I'm not gonna go on and beat a dead horse. We had a meeting. I went there personally and said, this is where it's gonna go. We had a meeting here. We marked an X on an agenda. I believe it was Mrs. Rigo's agenda of where the table was gonna go, and we all agreed. The table was not put there. Do I think the table should be taken out? That's a matter of opinion, but the table is there now. So what we do with those 2 tables, I think are not, that's done, that's in the past, there's nothing we can do about that. Going forward, whatever this board chooses to, is this board's decision, whether they want chess tables, whether they don't want chess tables, whether these chess tables are being used, whether they're not being used, that's the board's decision. You know, is the Bicentennial Park thing an unfortunate thing? Yes, it is, but we can't go backwards, we gotta go forward. So, and I mean, if you want it out, that's, the board can go there, but I mean, I'm just saying, what are we gonna do about it now? But we can't, you do have control over what happens from here on in. The board made a decision. If the board feels that, you know, it wasn't right and they don't wanna take a chance of this happening again, then the board has every right to say, we don't wanna have any more chess tables, we're done, thank you very much. However,
There's nothing we can do about the chess tables that are there, really, without literally taking a sledgehammer to them and just,
Yeah, no.
and making more of a situation out of it than what it has been, so.
Is that what you would have to do, is break it up?
Yes, and I also, because again, with the Columbus one, I was told I could put it there. If
I
the
understand that whole thing.
right, if the organization, to make them happy, I would be more than willing to go down there with a sledgehammer, crack it out of the pack, and move it to where they would like it.
That's a waste of time and money, so
Right,
you're
no,
not even
but
gonna entertain it.
On my end, it's like I feel like I'm being attacked like I'm some deviant, and I'm just trying to do something positive here, that's all.
In all honesty, Mr. Maderas, I feel that with the board, you were on a straight path, you were doing fine until the situation at Bicentennial Park. That's what somewhat soured this board, I guess, and that's what we're gonna have to deal with. We can't erase the past,
Aye.
so all we can do is move forward.
We talked about this for a good length of time in November. Commissioner, you all say, you have any more
I
questions?
just wanted to say that I have the utmost respect for veterans, and I like the idea. I just don't think it should be at the Bicentennial Park for reasons that, myself personally, I go there and reflect on my brother's life.
We're not discussing Bicentennial Park, we're discussing reconsidering our decision for Maplewood Park. Are you all set, Commissioner? Commissioner Farrell, you have anything?
I'm all set.
Commissioner Schulenberg?
Who's paying for these tables?
This table, a man bought one, remember the gentleman that was here last time I came? His name is Jonathan.
Is anybody making a profit on this?
I am,
You are.
yeah.
He's making a profit
You
in the
could.
city.
Good.
Can't do it.
However, if,
I'm gonna get there. Are you all set?
Yeah, I am.
I will be making nothing if it's not
Commissioner, you all
installed.
set?
I'm upset, thank you.
I think that we should allow it in any park. It's a liability to us in the city.
Okay, so the issue that we're facing tonight is reconsideration of our decision of November 7th. Is there a motion to that effect?
Well, my point was, if I may, Jeff,
Absolutely.
I feel very bad for the gentleman that had the table, and he wants to put it in honor of his veteran friend of,
None of it.
Oh, no, this is for his parents.
This is for-
But he'll just get his deposit back, that's
right.
all.
And that's where I was going before Jeff interrupted. I have the utmost respect for veterans, but I agree, I think it's a liability to us, and
Is there a motion to either reconsider or to deny the reconsideration?
Motion to deny.
Second.
Motion is made to deny reconsideration of our decision of November 7th, been seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Right.
Any opposed? So voted. Next item on the agenda is cemetery art project. Can you just say your name and address for the record?
Valerie Rami, 279 Arnold Street, New Bedford.
I entertain a motion
Motion.
to allow her to speak. She's not a resident for the
Motion to waive the rules.
Second.
motion. Waive the rules to be made, seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So voted. Go ahead, please.
Hello, I'm an art student from UMass. I'm in the MFA program, I'm studying ceramic sculpture. I had my grad seminar class last fall, and our final project was to do an artist in residence or social project, and I wanted to do something for the cemetery. When I visited the cemetery, I took some photos and walked around, and I was really interested in the sculptural aspects of the tombstones. That kind of snowballed, and I researched Victorian symbology. And I noticed that, there were only like 2 pamphlets for visitors, and I thought it'd be really cool to make like a little visual pocketbook for visitors. And I have like a little prototype here, and it's basically just like there's like pictures on one side, and then the sculptural aspects on the other side, and then just kind of like a little guidebook, I guess. And I thought that it would be a great way to make visitors' experiences more active. And I guess, you know, when I was walking through, there's a lot of things I didn't understand, like why are there books in the cemetery, you know, why is there an obelisk here, so I thought it'd be something fun to do.
So is this a school project?
It is a school project, yes.
And you're gonna receive a grade for your project?
I've already received a grade, it was
Okay.
last fall, so this is just carrying.
Is that the book?
Yeah, you can
That's
see
it?
it, yeah. It's just cut and pasted right now.
And that's just for Oak Grove Cemetery?
Oak Grove, yep. I mean, it's meant to be sort of not exclusive to Oak Grove, so ideally you could take this and go to any cemetery and use it, just because a lot of the symbology is, you know, carried over, especially in old cemeteries like in Massachusetts.
This is pretty nice. Very nice. Is this your idea?
Chris, cemetery director, how do you feel?
I was gonna ask him that. How do you
Yeah,
feel?
I mean, I think this could be a really nice aspect to have in the office if we could, you know, be a help to, you know, mass produce it in some way to provide to visitors. A lot of people come to
That's awesome.
enjoy the history of the cemetery. They look at, you know, some of our historic figures that are buried there, but to also have an understanding of the art could be helpful as well. I know there's.
So what does she do, leave these in the office?
She hasn't yet.
No, but that's what you would do?
Yeah.
You
if
make
so
these
approved.
up, leave them in the office, somebody comes in, you pass them out?
Correct.
Would it be bigger than that, or?
It would be that size. I mean, I can change
Too bad I
the.
can't read it.
Yeah.
No, I
I
just
better
think,
get these on.
I think a bigger one in color would be
Jeff, you better
absolutely
get those
beautiful.
glasses on.
Wow.
Bob's
I mean,
having a
it's-
hard time.
I think a bigger one in color would be absolutely beautiful, and you'll see what I mean when you go looking
You
at
gonna
it.
pay for that, Mr. Tavares?
Yeah, who's gonna pay for that?
It's supposed to be able to fit in your pocket.
Pretty
That's why it's
neat.
a pocketbook.
I like
Get
it.
Pocketbook?
It's nice.
As far as paying for it, I'm sure this is something we can work out with Ms. Remy about producing it. The city has a print shop, and we have some funds to supply office supplies as well as some other, you know, pieces of literature to our guests. So this could be something we can incorporate within our budget moving forward.
And I would ask, I mean, I can get it, you know, stapled and everything, I can cut it out like that, I don't mind doing the putting together too.
I like it, I think, I hope you got a good grade.
I did, yeah.
What'd you get?
I got an A.
Hey.
Nice.
And I
Excellent.
appreciate your interest in, our cemetery here in Fort River. I'd be in support of the project.
Would we see it before it goes, it's final, like to the print? Can we see a draft of it?
Yeah, so it's, right now I used Adobe InDesign, so basically everything is set up the way that's gonna be printed, so I can just send you the file.
Yeah.
And then if you have any feedback, want something changed, or even if you want it to be like a brochure instead of like a pocketbook, you can do that too.
Okay.
It's basically gonna be what's inside that
Chris, that has to be
pocket
fixed.
right now.
That's pretty nice.
Yeah,
We
that's,
just talked about perpetual care funds to fix the headset.
I'm not a big computer guy, but when you talked about spending money on upgrading the system,
She's gonna have like
could
this.
something like that be put on?
Yeah, I know that
That website?
the Legacy Mark system also allows us to incorporate
Where she could
photos
get
as
a
far
line
as-
of, you know, this was created by,
Yeah, it allows us to put in information, including photos.
you know, to
and
let people know that
headstones and things like
they are available at the,
Yeah.
at the cemetery.
Yeah, we can
When you
definitely-
visit, you can
Yeah,
get
we can
one.
put that on the city website as well.
Would you be highlighting the area where the wardens are also?
Not in this one, no. I think there's like a lot of stuff about the Bordens already, and I wanted to do something more for like an art historical aspect of it, so all the graves, inclusive of all of them.
Anyone have any other
Motion
questions?
to approve?
Motion approved.
Motion been made to approve, is there a
Second.
second?
second,
Motion made and seconded, any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So voted.
We'll see the draft though before, right?
Yep, you're awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Very nice, thank you.
Next item on the agenda is, correspondence from Colin Dias regarding
Oh,
cemetery operations.
I thought it was the other one.
Please state your name and address for the record.
Colin Dias, 560 Ray Street, Fall River. Basically, my correspondence is regards to what's happened in the city in the last few months, and most specifically, I came before the Park Board because of how this could affect the Park Board going forward, the cemetery of trees. Basically, the director of cemeteries and trees was once a part of a company that was accused by the United States.
Excuse me.
Let me stop you right there, okay? We're not gonna have any accusations thrown out,
It was from the United States government.
I
these
understand that.
accusations, so.
and in your letter, you make a statement that he may have played a role in the mayor's alleged, in your words, crimes.
Jeff,
You know,
this does not, I think this is an HR situation.
Absolutely.
And it
Yeah.
should not be discussed
We don't have anything.
openly. I mean, I don't know that this board has any indication of anything, so I just think that we don't have any idea that this person has anything.
well, that's what I was gonna ask. I was gonna ask, do you have anything?
But I don't know if you
No,
wanna
with
read
all
it.
due respect, I think this should maybe be discussed by the Park Board in executive session out of due diligence to make sure we're doing what's best for our city, and that's all I wanted to come down to say.
Then the board can,
But this has nothing to do with his job with the park board.
Well,
It has nothing to do with it. It shouldn't be brought here. It
with all
shouldn't
due
be brought
respect,
here.
how
Do
can
you-
the director
Do
of
you know
cemetery?
something that we don't?
The commissioner is speaking, you'll have your opportunity.
Do you know something that we don't? If you do, then make it public.
Sure.
Make an accusation and ruin somebody's life? You can't do that. You cannot do that.
Well, no one was trying to ruin anyone's
Yes, you
life.
are. You're trying to ruin his reputation.
No, and I was not recommending that, what I was gonna come down to say, that maybe there should be discussed, maybe, leave of absence until the accusation regarding a company accused
Okay, excuse
of
me, Chair.
misleading investors.
Okay, hang on.
I
Commissioner?
have You said about the park board and our effectiveness, that's what you said.
Right,
Now,
and-
wait, I'm finished, I'm not finished, Mr. Dias, please, thank you. This park board works very hard with parks and cemetery. We work
Right.
with Chris and we work with Nancy. That's who we have jurisdiction over and that's what we work with. If we have an issue, we deal with it. That's it. I mean, we work together. So there's nearly nothing else to say.
When I was questioning the effectiveness of how Mr. Perino could do his duties, I was referencing that a federal judge has ordered that he could not have contact with the CEO of our city, Mayor Correa, and that's what I was referencing. Mr. Perino was hired by Mayor Correa. If there was ever an issue, I've spoken to past mayors about this. They've had contact with former directors of cemeteries if there was an emergency. And that's all I wanted to bring forward. How can he effectively do his duties at any possible second? I'm not questioning his effectiveness. I'm pretty sure he does a great job with the cemeteries. But with the unfortunate circumstances, I just thought this board should, even in an executive session, not in public session, I would not recommend that either.
Do you know what
Review.
executive session is?
Yes, executive sessions when it's not in the public. Yes, that's.
Yeah, but you know those minutes do become public at one time.
No, they do
Yeah,
not.
they
I'm
do.
certain. No, they do not.
Yeah, they do.
They
I
do.
think
How do
you
you
need
know
to
that
go
he's a
check.
witness? Do you know
Well,
something nobody else
I'm not gonna
knows?
entertain this.
One at a time,
Jeff, let's stop this, please.
okay? This is, conversation is gonna end,
Yeah, right
okay?
now.
The board has no jurisdiction
Yeah.
over
Mr.
any
Perino
federal
reports on
trial.
a daily basis to Mr. Perry and to this board. His interaction with the administration is probably nothing on a daily basis. So I don't feel that this needs to even be vetted out. If the board wants to take this complaint, place it on file, they have it on file, then I think that's what the board should do. Motion and second to place on file. Done.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Motion is made and seconded.
What's up?
Any further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
I oppose.
I oppose.
Oh, you opposed?
You opposed to placing it on file?
Yeah, I don't think it's
Yeah.
necessary. This has
All
nothing
right,
to do with this.
hang on.
Nancy,
Roll
Nancy.
call.
To place on file, right?
Motion is to place his correspondence on file.
Yes.
What,
No, goes to Bob first.
Nancy?
So, Commissioner Tavares,
Yes.
No,
Yes.
No.
No,
well, guess what? It's a tie,
Dead.
No.
dead issue.
That's right. Next item on the agenda, request for tree removal at 452 Montgomery Street.
thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Our office received a request from a resident.
Tie your bets, yeah.
Hang on.
Our office received a request from a resident to remove the tree at 452 Montgomery Street because of its current health. Both myself and the supervisor of the tree division have gone out to look at the tree in question, and our recommendation would be for removal. It's got a number of dead branches. It does show some indication of rot with visible holes as well as mushrooms growing on the trunk of the tree.
Don't have any questions?
What type of mushroom is it?
Did you say a tree there?
Sergeant.
Just one of those
Now,
nights.
and the tree, supervisor.
Tree supervisor went over here?
Yes.
I'm sorry, guys.
You know, you need a little humor.
Any discussion?
I make a motion
Motion
that,
to approve?
I'll
Motion
second.
made, seconded,
Second.
Smith seconded. To be,
Joe?
Smith seconded to remove.
I did, second.
All in favor?
aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Cronin.
Correspondence on, proposal street, tree removal, Pembroke Street.
Jeff, the gentleman called me late afternoon, he's sick. So he was hoping that the board could refer this to their next meeting because he was unable to attend the meeting to make his presentation.
Motion to table till the next meeting.
Second.
Motion.
No, you can't make a
Motion to table the next meeting.
Motion made, is there a second?
Second.
All in favor of the table?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? So voted. Chris Gallagher, Park Grant and CPC application funding documentation.
Good evening.
Good evening, Chris.
So, we're gonna talk about that, we were withdrawing some of the projects that we originally discussed on the first park board meeting. It was a mistake on my part, I was not realizing the dates of the July and June timeline. So we had withdrawn the overhead park wires, the Kennedy Park building, we withdrew.
No, you just withdrew the Kennedy Park building.
Yeah, not the one.
You didn't withdraw the wires, they approved the wires.
Oh, yeah, to move forward, we're gonna withdraw that.
You're gonna withdraw the wires?
Yep, we're gonna withdraw the wires, and we're gonna also withdraw the Ruggles Park enhancement. Okay.
So what are you left with, the boat ramp that's not ours?
The boat ramp, that's not yours. Yeah, so these, the wires we were doing ourselves in-house now that we have our extra electrician. So we would ask permission going forward, and that's probably gonna come probably February, March, that will come to you and ask that we're going to trench through the park to put the park wires in underground. Yeah, we're gonna do it. We have two electricians now, so.
Wow.
So we're gonna do that ourselves. The other piece is, I just wanted to let you know and keep you informed, the Kennedy Park wall and North Burial Ground wall, we starting to get some bids coming in to move forward. Hopefully we'll get that as soon as the weather breaks to repair those walls. As soon as we get the bids, I'll send them to this board. as they.
Can you let us know when the RFP is out so I
RFP, yeah.
can go to the
Yeah.
field?
Well, these are gonna, I think these are all under 50,000, so these are just getting 3 price quotes and stuff. We're going over it with them and stuff like that.
The problem we're gonna have, Chris, is city ordinance that the park department has, and perhaps John's gonna have to go before the council for this. Any project over $10,000, regardless of who is paying for it, needs to have a public hearing. That's been in the works all this time, and now I think that we need to go to the city council and up $10,000, we couldn't even put in a fence. So, it applies to parks only.
Parks only.
Yeah, I mean, it was made, because I'm the park historian, I know that it happened when Maplewood Park put in the ball field. And members of the council were upset that they were allowed to do it, and we said, well, we didn't pay for it, they did. So the council passed an ordinance, and I can get it to you.
Yeah. Yeah, please.
It's been, no, but just so that, anything over $10,000, we're supposed to have a public hearing, sending out to abutters even.
Yeah,
So, even no matter
it's
who's
in city
doing it.
ordinance.
Just so that we're all on the same page, I would suggest that it would be my suggestion to the board that the board send a letter to the city council asking that they up that amount, because it literally ties our hands to do anything.
So the rule as stated, just to be clear, so I'm understanding, so that, going forward, we'll know what that is. So you're saying that any project over $10,000, there has to be a public hearing held in front of the board or
In front
in
of
general?
the public,
Understand.
like, not a board meeting.
Right.
An advertised public meeting, like they do, abutters,
Informational meeting. Yep.
not an informational
No.
meeting. We're not supposed to do.
Just the
Oh,
the butters, the people in that area around that park will be notified that this public hearing will take place so that they
We
can
have
come.
to advertise in the
attend.
paper 2 times. I just don't want someone,
Do you know how many times that rule has been used? Does anybody on the board know? Just curiosity, because I don't think, this is the first time hearing of it. Yeah, myself. So
No,
I
it's in
just,
the- it's in city ordinance,
No,
you
I'm
have
not-
to just look.
not
it
down.
up.
doubting that.
no, has it been used?
Not
No,
dis-
we have
not
replaced
disputing that whatsoever.
We have replaced that, probably not,
I don't know. Anyway,
not supposed to have, but we have replaced that with informational hearings. But technically, if anyone wanted to, and we're seeing a lot of times, people are now coming forward saying this is not done correctly, this is not
yep,
done
no,
correctly,
the
so.
open meeting laws,
this-
violations and whatnot.
Exactly.
Yes, so my question would be, if you could get me that information,
I can
Nancy,
get it
right?
to you.
So that I can look at it, and let's see if we can find any past cases that we've actually held those meetings, whether it be
I
a
have.
public hearing or the information, and just so I'll have a history of that.
Yep.
And then one other thing I will say, and again, this is just because I wanna be clear, because I'm not sure. I'll reference with the judge to see what takes precedent. So city ordinance is city ordinance, and I know we've had this debate in other areas, not pertaining to the park, but other situations. So does state procurement laws trump the ordinance, or does the ordinance trump the state procurement law? And I don't have the answer to that. So I don't know either way. So I just want to make sure that we will discuss that with the judge to see what his opinion is, and I'll make sure we get that, whatever information I find out, I will forward right away to the board, just so we can have that open discussion, so we know what we're doing going forward. As I've said in the past, the way things were done in the past was the way it was done in the past, right? And as you said, Nancy, and we've talked about, you can't change that, you can only move forward, right? So if we get this in place, we set the criteria for what is needed going forward, then that way we're all on the page. Mr. Gallagher, myself, the board, so when we have these types of projects, we take the proper steps in the proper order.
I will get that to you.
Yeah.
In instances that.
Yeah, that'd be great. So that way, at least I'll have some reference.
So I still think
Anyway.
having the prices and the
Yep.
bids are nice, because if we do have to have those meetings, at least we have that for the public and have all
Exactly.
that. anyway.
Exactly.
So letting you know that it's out there, that we're looking, we're getting them in now. We think this is a good time of the year to get them.
Most of the masons are kind of laying back a little bit, so these are their, try to get them in as their first projects of the year when it starts up, because
It's for the wall at Kennedy Park, right?
Oh, yeah, there's the wall at Kennedy Park, and also the accident that happened on Brightman Street at the North Burial Ground. There was a car that flipped over and took out a portion of the wall.
Yep.
We had gotten some insurance funds just came in for that particular incident. So we're trying to go out there for some pricing to see what it's gonna take to repair that, and what we're going to need for funding to finish it.
Commissioner Bob?
Yeah, very quickly, Nancy, you made said something about going to write a letter to the council to up the amount.
Of that $10,000.
What would it be up to?
Well,
I would make it
I
at
would
least
make it,
over
I would
100.
make, I would make a suggestion that, yeah, I mean, if it's significant, at this point, the state procurement law is $50,000. So anything under $50,000, we required to get 3 bidders, okay? Whereas you don't have to go out, as Nancy stated, for an RFP, a request for proposals. That $50,000 mark triggers that stipulation. So, I mean, I would suggest that a minimum, it matched the state procurement laws. But again, that would have to go through ordinance committee first, and then to full council to be voted on. So
And
it's a
this
process.
is specifically to the park, because I guess one of our projects angered council,
Recently,
when they made the,
a rule.
when
Field
they
at
made
Maplewood.
Maplewood's third field, and
Yeah,
cut down the
Maplewood.
trees, and that's what provoked this. So-
Okay, all right. So, yeah, I'd like that information so I can review it, and Mr. Gallagher can review it as well. And then I'll speak with the judge to see what trumps what. I know that some people, if you put 10 people in a room, 5 are gonna say ordinance trumps state law, and the other 5 are gonna say state law trumps ordinance, and I don't have that answer. So I don't wanna try to debate that.
I think we can easily solve this problem, like I said, if even with a letter from the board to the council asking that they up that amount, and then it wouldn't matter really what superseded what. as
No,
long
that,
as
and
we-
I agree, but my concern with that is, and I know Mr. Gallagher is waiting to the spring, and we have no choice to wait to the spring to get this done, but my concern is ordinance meetings, council meetings, don't always fall within the timetable, so I'd hate to see the project get pushed back even further. Walls have been that way long enough.
It wouldn't need to get pushed back, John. We would just have to have that public hearing, and in that public hearing, it doesn't need to be one specific project. It can be
A multitude.
4 projects. These are the 4 projects that are gonna take place in the park department, like you have these projects. But they would require that specific piece, so. I think we wouldn't have to hold it up. The most we would have to do, even if we didn't get that ordinance changed, was have the public meeting. I don't think it would be, and many times no one, even from the other meeting, many times no one comes. But It's a
No.
requirement, it's a requirement.
And this is just an update on Mr. Gallagher's part, I believe, right?
Yeah,
Here?
yeah.
Okay, so I was gonna say, I didn't know if anybody wanted to entertain a motion to pass something so that we could, pending the public hearing, but that's not necessary, so we're good.
The only thing is, Chris, one of these is a grant. Are you gonna have to notify them that you're giving that money back? The building,
On
that you withdrew the park building, you said.
the park building, I'm not withdrawing the grant, I'm withdrawing it from CPA, looking for
Oh,
additional
all right.
funds. I'm just,
Okay, you're still matching.
I'm
the
still
money
matching
on
it,
the
yeah, I'm
grant.
just-
Oh, okay, I misunderstood.
still going forward with that.
Okay.
The other piece on this is, I'm looking to have an informational meeting. I'd like to have something around the 19th. I'll be sending out letters. I'd like to get the park board, CPC, and also historic preservation, and have an informational meeting to discuss the North Park existing study. And that to see what input we may get from the public input. I had a historic preservation meeting. We talked with them. It seemed that there was some wrong information maybe given. We were told that that it was denied by the board, and then I was later on told that it wasn't denied by the board. So I'd just like to get it, and so that we can all sit down and discuss it, so that we can all be on the same page moving forward. That we have an informational meeting, we maybe get some public information here, and then we can make a educated decision on what we're going to do with that North Park study moving forward. and just see where we can end up with that. I'm looking to try to maybe do this on the 19th, so that way there, it's before,
It's a Saturday.
Yeah,
The-
it's Saturday,
I can't.
excuse me?
19th is a Saturday.
Oh, is it on the Saturday?
This month, January?
Yeah, it's January. It's Friday, the 19th, Saturday, the 18th, it was the 18th of Friday.
Friday, if you want me to there, you don't want me.
So we could do the Thursday or the Friday.
Seven.
That's that's a Durfee committee meeting, that's a nighttime meeting.
Yeah.
When do we have
So
this?
we're gonna see, you'd have to get somebody from your board, I don't, your whole board can't go, so you'd have to designate somebody to go.
I wouldn't be able to make that date.
So I'd go the Thursday or the Friday, letting you know it's gonna be one of those days, the 17th or the 18th. We're gonna go move forward and see what we can come up with, so we can make some decisions of what we're gonna do with that existing study.
So, with whatever happens at this meeting, if we don't go or you make a decision or whatever's being discussed.
Still gonna come back to you.
All right, still has to come back.
Still
here.
has to come back to
So,
you. We just like to get everybody together and maybe that.
we have a process here that we have to
Yeah,
follow.
oh, yeah,
so-
yeah, well, that's why we'd like to have everybody there, all the boards, you know, a member from each one at least.
What
And,
time? What time?
I'm gonna try to do it, if it's a Thursday, I could probably do it fairly early, I could probably 4:30, 5 o'clock.
If you did it Friday, I can make it too.
And it just information, I think it just kinda gets everybody on the same page, they come up with some good ideas and some good things, so I think everybody together collectively, I think maybe we can come up with something and, know whether or not. And then that will let us know before we go before CPC, which is on the 28th, moving forward, that there's kind of a support for it or not a support for it. We still would have to get a letter from you, where we'd have to ask through Nancy, you know what I mean, and that after this informational meeting, does the board support this, moving forward?
So you had stated that, the north wall.
The north
stereo,
burial.
Yep, was insurance. You said you received insurance.
On insurance, proceeds, I went to the insurance accounts that the city has.
Okay, so how much was that?
$10,000.
Is that enough to cover the wall? No.
She had, the individual had a Geico insurance, it's like a 6-month policy, so that's the most you could get out of it, so that's what we were able to get. You couldn't get any more, you really couldn't go after her for any more, so that's what we had to settle on.
Chair, any more questions? So, Chris, back to your list here, the agenda in the agenda. So Ruggles, Ruggles and Father Kelly Park enhancement is withdrawn.
Yes.
Okay, so cross that off, commissioners, I guess. And then continue of the wall project for Kennedy Park and Burial Ground 4, that's two different things here. So let's go with the continuation of the wall projects located at Kennedy Park.
Those two now that, what Nancy had just said, we're gonna probably have to have public
The-
meetings
all right,
and
that's
stuff.
the
But
ones
we're just asking, I was just informing you that we started to,
You can go out for prices, because
Getting
until you go
prices.
out for prices, you don't know a job is over $10,000.
That's right.
Right.
So you can do whatever footwork you need to.
yeah, we're pretty much sure that these are gonna be over the 10,000. We had kinda had a bid from, the company that goes, and collects us the money from the insurance companies, and they were in the $30,000 range for North Burial. Again, they get a lot of money because they hire companies and they take a portion of it and stuff. They fix guardrails on highways and things like that, so.
And, Chairman, if I
Yeah,
have one
you
follow-up.
can close it off.
Okay. If you have anything, Chris, that you submit to the board, if you could submit documentation with it, so we can see it in the agenda before the board meeting, that would be really appreciated, because to come here sometimes and look for things and, you know, we don't know, like withdrawing, if we would've knew what you were gonna withdraw, even if it's a letter just saying, this is what I'm doing, so we don't seem very confused when you get here. It'd be appreciated, just having some documentation to support what you're here to talk about, because I don't wanna get hit with an open meeting violation anywhere down the line, because it's here,
Okay.
okay?
I have a question.
All set, I'm sorry, you.
I have a question. So, did we confirm a date for the informational meeting, the 18th or the 19th?
And let us know, and I'll let you know.
Yeah, I'll go back and we'll figure out what, I think, I'm gonna just put a letter out. I think what I'll do is I'll put a letter out, and see what responses I get back. I'll give out both dates and see what date is gonna work best for everybody. So, there's 3 boards, probably 2 from each board, see which one that they can make.
Just,
About,
just so you know, Victor and I can do it on the Friday, the 19th.
I can do it on the 32nd.
Good one. You're on a roll tonight, Commissioner.
I just roll. I'm rolling, new year, new you, right?
Anything
That's May,
else?
that's May 32nd.
Anything else from Mr. Gallagher?
That's it?
No? Thank you. Fix it?
Oh, the information that you asked for. I didn't get it until late, that's why I didn't have it on the, I'll give it to you.
Well done. It's all right, just hold on it now.
Chris, it's good.
And you're gonna take that yellow one, right over the head of the question.
So we're gonna hold on.
Okay,
It's not, you just got it there so you can see that it's.
okay,
All set?
but I had it, you could put this to.
Next item on the agenda is Commissioner inquiries. Anybody have anything?
I have none.
Yeah, but
Anyone know?
I have none.
I'll let you deal with it. I'm sorry.
Motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Motion made second, all in favor?
Aye.
We are adjourned, thanks for coming to the park board meeting.
Thank you. Congratulations, Jeff and
Thank you.
everybody, and
Thank you.
Joe, and